While everyone obsesses over Marvel blockbusters and Fast and Furious sequels, the greatest action masterpieces ever made are sitting forgotten on streaming services nobody's watching. One film literally invented the car chase as we know it, yet most people have never even heard its name. These aren't your typical bang-bang blockbusters. They're visceral, brutal, intelligent thrillers that redefined what action cinema could be. If you care about cinema, you need to know these movies. Let's dive in. Number 10. Kingsman: The Secret Service, 2014, Matthew Vaughn's Kingsman. The Secret Service is a brilliantly choreographed action comedy that restores pure joy to action cinema. Taron Egerton plays a working-class kid recruited into a secret spy organization that operates by old-school gentleman rules. The film is witty, absurdly violent, endlessly inventive, and refuses to take itself seriously while maintaining absolute technical proficiency. Colin Firth plays the mentor figure and delivers action sequences with such grace and humor that you forget he's supposedly a sophisticated older gentleman until he starts annihilating people with balletic precision. The action sequences are miniature masterpieces. A fight in a church is unhinged insanity that feels both completely irreverent and visually stunning. A fight atop a stationary train defies physics. The film cost $81 million and earned $414 million worldwide, making it one of the most profitable action films ever made. Vaughn proved that audiences will support smart, funny, technically proficient action cinema if it respects their intelligence. The film inspired 2 sequels, but neither matched the original's perfect balance of humor, spectacle, and genuine character development. Kingsman represents action filmmaking at its absolute best, unafraid to be silly while maintaining complete technical mastery. Number 9. Commando, 1985. Mark L. Lester's Commando is the most ridiculous, most entertaining, and somehow most heartfelt action film ever made. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a retired Special Forces commando forced back into battle to rescue his kidnapped daughter from a Latin American dictator. What sounds like a generic premise becomes something utterly transcendent because Schwarzenegger delivers every absurd line with genuine conviction and paternal desperation. He doesn't crack jokes about killing people. He cracks jokes because he's terrified he won't make it in time to save his daughter. The action sequences are so perfectly orchestrated they feel like violent ballet. A single man takes down an entire island military base with practical effects, real explosions, and absolutely no CGI. The most insane sequence involves Schwarzenegger driving a section of fence that's literally still on fire, creating this incredible image of a muscular man driving directly toward the enemy while trailing flames. The budget was only $9 million, which is remarkable. Considering how expensive every explosion looks, the film grossed $46 million worldwide, making it profitable beyond anyone's expectations. What makes Commando actually legendary is that it inspired action filmmakers to embrace total mayhem without apology. It proved that action could be completely over the top and still emotionally resonate if your hero genuinely cares about something beyond money or vengeance. Number 8. Hard Boiled, 1992. John Woo's Hard Boiled is hands down the most influential Hong Kong action film ever made, and somehow it remains criminally unknown to most Western audiences. Chow Yun-fat plays a cop and Tony Leung plays an undercover agent infiltrating a criminal organization, and their performances together create this electric tension that powers the entire film. But here's the thing that makes Hard Boiled absolutely legendary. The action sequences are so perfectly choreographed and so visually stunning that they essentially invented the blueprint for every gun-fu action film that came after. Woo shoots action the way other directors shoot dialogue scenes. Every gunfight is a conversation. Every explosion communicates character and emotion. The tea house shootout early in the film remains one of the greatest sequences ever committed to screen. Woo famously insisted on doing as many practical effects as possible, which meant real actors in real danger during most of the dangerous sequences. The film cost $6 million to make and earned just $2 million domestically because Western audiences weren't ready for this style of hyperkinetic Hong Kong action. But the film found its audience through video rental and inspired Tarantino, the Wachowskis, and basically every action director working today. The tragedy is that Hard Boiled gets overshadowed by Woo's later American productions, which were toned down for mainstream audiences. The original Hong Kong version is raw, visceral, and absolutely uncompromising. It's a masterpiece that Western cinema still hasn't fully acknowledged. Number 7. Raid 2, 2014. Gareth Evans' Raid 2 took everything the first film did and somehow made it bigger, meaner, and exponentially more inventive. Iko Uwais returns as Rama, a cop navigating through layers of corruption in Jakarta's criminal underworld. While the first Raid was basically Die Hard in an apartment building, Raid 2 sprawls across the entire city and the action becomes increasingly experimental. Evans doesn't just film fights. He deconstructs them. He shows you every impact, every consequence of violence. There's a fight in a bathroom that will make you physically uncomfortable. There's a car chase that plays like a violent symphony. The film cost $4.5 million and earned $41 million worldwide, which is incredible for an action film shot in Indonesia with virtually unknown actors. What makes Raid 2 actually important is that Evans proved you don't need American studios, A-list actors, or massive budgets to create action cinema that rivals or exceeds anything Hollywood produces. He proved that real practical martial arts on camera will always be more viscerally satisfying than CGI. The film inspired 1,000 imitators and solidified Evans as one of the greatest action directors alive. Yet somehow most casual moviegoers still haven't seen it, which is criminal. Raid 2 represents the bleeding edge of action filmmaking. Number 6. The French Connection, 1971. William Friedkin's The French Connection is the film that invented the modern cop thriller and somehow remains the gold standard for intelligent action cinema. Gene Hackman plays Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle, a brilliant but morally compromised narcotics cop pursuing a massive drug trafficking operation. The film treats action not as spectacle, but as inevitable consequence of investigation. When action occurs, it's brutal, quick, and shocking because it interrupts the methodical police work. The car chase beneath the elevated train is legendary, and Friedkin shot it practically with stunt driver Bill Hickman performing the most dangerous sequences. The sequence wasn't choreographed extensively because Friedkin wanted it to feel chaotic and real. Cars collided for real. Tires blew out unexpectedly. The authenticity is palpable. The film cost $1.8 million and earned $46 million worldwide, becoming one of the biggest hits of 1971. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture, which is remarkable because it's fundamentally a gritty action thriller. What Friedkin proved is that action films could be taken seriously by critics and audiences simultaneously. He elevated the genre by refusing to compromise on realism or by dumbing down the story. The French Connection remains required viewing for anyone who wants to understand how modern action cinema developed. Number 5. Lethal Weapon, 1987. Richard Donner's Lethal Weapon created the buddy cop genre as we know it and somehow gets dismissed as lightweight compared to its infinitely less interesting sequels. Mel Gibson plays Martin Riggs, an emotionally unstable cop literally suicidal with grief, and Danny Glover plays Roger Murtaugh, a by-the-book cop just trying to make it to retirement. The genius is that every action sequence emerges from their personality conflict. They don't work together smoothly. They fight each other as much as they fight criminals. The action is inventive and intimate. When they crash through a window, it's both funny and genuinely dangerous looking. The climactic fight between Riggs and Gary Busey is absolutely brutal, unhinged, and way more violent than most people remember. Gibson committed to the role by actually losing weight and appearing genuinely unraveled throughout filming. The film cost $24 million and earned $71 million domestically, making it a massive commercial success. But critics initially snooted at it as mere action entertainment. Now scholars recognize Lethal Weapon as the template for the entire modern action-comedy hybrid. It proved that character development could coexist with explosive action sequences. Without Lethal Weapon, there's no Die Hard. Without Die Hard, there's no modern action cinema as we know it. Number 4. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, 2005. Shane Black's Kiss. Kiss Bang Bang is a magnum opus disguised as a ridiculous neo-noir comedy action film that somehow got buried under the weight of mainstream releases. Ryan Gosling plays a burglar who becomes an actor and gets pulled into a murder investigation. The film is absolutely unhinged, constantly breaking the fourth wall, frequently admitting its own plot holes and delivering action sequences that are simultaneously hilarious and genuinely dangerous. Black refuses to let the audience settle into comfort. Just when you think you're watching a lighthearted romp, the film pivots into genuinely upsetting violence. Black funded the film independently because studios thought the script was too weird, too self-aware, and too uncommercial. It earned only $4 million at the box office, which is why most people have never heard of it. But the film influenced every action comedy that came after, from the Jump Street films to everything the Russo brothers have made. What Black proved is that action cinema could be smart, self-reflexive, and entertaining simultaneously. It could acknowledge its own absurdity while delivering real emotional stakes. Kiss Kiss. Bang Bang remains criminally underrated and absolutely essential viewing. It's the kind of film that makes you wonder what incredible things Black could have accomplished if studios had trusted his vision more frequently. Number 3. Black Hat, 2015. Michael Mann's Black Hat is a sprawling, ambitious action thriller about cybercriminals that most people completely ignored upon release. Chris Hemsworth plays an imprisoned hacker released to help authorities stop a mysterious cyber attack that threatens global security. The film could have been just another techno-thriller, but Mann approaches it like a contemporary samurai tale. Hemsworth delivers a performance filled with controlled rage and physical danger, transforming his typical action hero persona into something darker and more complex. The action sequences are magnificent. Mann shoots fights with the precision of a classical composer. A motorcycle chase through Jakarta is shot with such technical brilliance that it makes most modern action cinema look pedestrian. The film cost $70 million and earned only $19 million, making it a catastrophic commercial failure. Studios refused to back Mann's follow-up projects because Black Hat underperformed so badly. This is insane because Mann is essentially a master filmmaker and Black Hat is a genuinely innovative action thriller. It treats hacking as physicality, as something kinetic and embodied rather than just code on screens. The film influenced zero action filmmakers because most people never saw it. That's a tragedy because Mann proves that aging directors can still revolutionize action cinema if given proper resources and creative freedom. Number 2. Point Break, 1991. Kathryn Bigelow's Point Break is a roaring beast of a film that disguises itself as a surfer action movie, but actually delivers one of cinema's most morally complex action thrillers ever made. Keanu Reeves plays an FBI agent infiltrating a gang of philosophical bank robbers who live for the perfect wave and the adrenaline rush of heists. Patrick Swayze steals the entire film with a performance that's both charming and dangerously unhinged. This isn't just about chasing bad guys, it's about two men finding kinship across enemy lines. And by the climax, you're not even sure who you should be rooting for anymore. The production was absolute chaos. Bigelow insisted on shooting real skydiving sequences with actors actually jumping out of planes at 15,000 feet. Keanu famously broke his foot during one scene and kept filming anyway. The bank robbery sequences were shot with such precision that real banks actually complained the film could be used as a training manual for actual robberies. The finale is a brutal fistfight on a beach that feels like two friends trying to kill each other, which emotionally speaking, is exactly what's happening. It earned $44 million at the box office, which seemed modest, but the film found its true audience decades later, inspiring everything from prestige heist thrillers to the entire ocean sports cinema genre. Critics initially dismissed it as just another 80s action flick, but now film scholars recognize it as Bigelow's masterwork and one of the most intelligent action films ever made. Number 1. Mad Max Fury Road, 2015. George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road is the greatest action film ever made and somehow still gets underrated in larger conversations about cinema. Tom Hardy plays Max, a taciturn warrior in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and Charlize Theron steals the entire film as Furiosa, a one-armed warrior commanding a massive truck across a desert hellscape. The film is essentially a 2-hour chase sequence, but every single second is meticulously choreographed, visually devastating, and emotionally resonant. Miller was 70 years old when he made this film and at the height of his creative powers. He shot every significant action sequence practically, using real vehicles, real explosions, and real stunt people. The film cost $150 million and earned $385 million worldwide, proving that audiences will embrace bold, singular visions if executed at the highest technical level. Every Academy Award it won was deserved. Every frame is composed with painterly precision. The sound design is a character itself. The cinematography is stunning. The performances are measured and powerful. Fury Road represents action cinema operating at the peak of its capabilities. It's simultaneously the most entertaining and most artistically accomplished action film ever made. Every action filmmaker working today is operating in the shadow of Fury Road, attempting to replicate what Miller accomplished. Most fail because what Miller created wasn't just technical proficiency, it was vision, voice, and absolute commitment to his artistic perspective. These films represent the best action cinema has to offer, and most people have never heard of them. That's criminal. Comment below with your favorite underrated action films. Did we miss something essential? Are forgotten action masterpieces actually better than modern superhero films? Which of these films shocked you the most? And here's the real question that matters. Why does Hollywood keep investing billions in mediocre franchises when genuinely innovative action filmmakers struggle to get funding? Drop your takes below and prepare for battle.